Captain Lisa Morgan was drinking her morning coffee when the alarm started going off. She put down her mug and walked to the bridge of the Terra's Hope. Her crew was already there, looking at the big screen with wide eyes. Outside their ship, space was full of other ships. Really big ships. Dr. Amanda Clark looked up from her console. "Captain, we have about 50 ships out there. They just appeared out of nowhere." She pushed some buttons, and the screen zoomed in. The ships were beautiful and scary at the same time. Some looked like they were made of crystal and light. Others seemed to bend the stars around them. Lieutenant Maya Johnson was checking her weapons systems. "The crystal ships have energy readings I've never seen before. The dark ones are using technology that doesn't make sense. They're all pointing weapons at us." Chief Engineer Kate Sullivan came running onto the bridge. "Captain, whatever those ships are using for power, it's way beyond anything we have. Each one of those big ships could probably blow up our entire ship with one shot." Lisa nodded and sat down in her captain's chair. "Well, this is interesting. Any messages from them?" Amanda's console beeped. "Yes, Captain, we're getting a transmission now. It's coming through on multiple frequencies and in several languages. They're using translation software." "Put it on the main screen," Lisa said. The screen filled with the image of a tall, beautiful woman with pointed ears. Her skin was pale and seemed to glow a little. She wore robes that looked like they cost more money than most people made in a year. Behind her stood other creatures that looked similar but were clearly soldiers. Their armor was shiny and covered in strange symbols. The elf woman spoke in a voice that sounded like music. "Greetings, primitive inhabitants of this vessel. I am Lady Sylviana Moonweave, High Diplomat of the Etherian Empire. You are now in the presence of the Galactic Triumvirate, the rightful rulers of this galaxy." The image split in half. On the other side appeared something that definitely was not human or elf. It had blue-gray skin and 6 arms. Its head was larger than a human head, and its eyes were completely black. When it spoke, its voice sounded like metal grinding against metal. "I am Diplomat Prime Xylotha, of the Zephyrian Hegemony. Your species is unknown to us, but this matters not. You will surrender your vessel immediately and submit to the authority of the Triumvirate." Lady Sylviana continued speaking. "For 3,000 years, the Etherian Empire has brought order to the galaxy. For 2,000 years, we have been joined by our Zephyrian allies. Together, we have conquered 47 star systems and brought civilization to countless primitive worlds." Xylotha's black eyes seemed to stare right through the screen. "Your options are simple. Surrender now and become servants of the Triumvirate. Your lives will be spared, and you will be given useful work. Refuse, and your ship will be destroyed. You have 1 hour to decide." The transmission ended. The bridge was quiet for a moment. Then Maya started laughing. "What's so funny?" Lisa asked. "Did you hear all those fancy titles? And they want us to surrender because they've conquered other people? That's like a bully saying we should give him our lunch money because he took lunch money from other kids." Amanda was reading something on her console. "Captain, I'm picking up more transmissions between their ships. They're speaking in their own languages, but our computer is translating some of it. They're calling us another primitive species and talking about what kind of work we'd be good for." Kate shook her head. "They haven't even asked us who we are or where we come from. They just showed up and told us to surrender." Lisa stood up and walked to the communications console. "Open a channel to both ships." "Channel open, Captain," Amanda said. Lisa looked at the screen. Both the elf woman and the alien appeared again. They looked like they expected her to be crying or begging. "Hello there. I'm Captain Lisa Morgan of the exploration ship Terra's Hope. We're from Earth. Thanks for the introduction, but we're not really interested in surrendering today. We were wondering if you'd like to come over for coffee and talk about things instead." Lady Sylviana's perfect face showed confusion. "Coffee? What is this coffee? Are you attempting to negotiate the terms of your surrender?" Xylotha's 6 arms moved in what might have been frustration. "Explain this word, talk. Do you mean you wish to discuss the details of your servitude?" Maya leaned over to Amanda and whispered, "I don't think they get it." Amanda whispered back, "They probably haven't met anyone who said no to them in a long time." Lisa continued talking to the screen. "Coffee is a drink we make from beans. It tastes good and helps people think. Talking is what we do when we want to understand each other. You know, ask questions, share information, maybe find out we have things in common. The elf woman turned to speak with someone off screen. When she turned back, she looked even more confused. Captain Morgan, are you saying you refuse our generous offer to spare your lives? Well, we appreciate the thought, but we're not really the surrendering type. We're explorers. We came out here to see what's in space and meet new people. Meeting you is actually pretty exciting. We've never seen elves or aliens before. Xylotha's voice got louder. Elves? Aliens? We are the Etherean Empire and the Zephyrian hegemony. We are your superiors in every way. You will show proper respect. Kate spoke up from her engineering station. With respect, sir or ma'am or whatever you prefer to be called, we're just not built that way. Humans don't really do the whole bowing and scraping thing anymore. We tried that for a few thousand years and decided it wasn't very fun. Lady Sylviana looked like someone had just told her that water flows uphill. You tried being properly civilized and decided against it? Pretty much, Lisa said. We figured out that people are happier when they get to make their own choices. So now we mostly try to be nice to each other and work together. It's been going pretty well so far. Amanda added, we still have some problems to work out, but we're getting better at it. The coffee invitation is still open if you want to come over and discuss it. The two leaders looked at each other across the split screen. They were clearly talking to people off camera. Finally, Lady Sylviana spoke again. This is highly irregular. No species has ever responded to our arrival with an invitation to consume beverages. There's a first time for everything, Maya said cheerfully. Xylotha's black eyes narrowed. We will consider your strange proposal. However, do not mistake our curiosity for weakness. The triumvirate does not negotiate with primitives. That's okay, Lisa said. We don't really think of ourselves as primitive. We're just different. Come on over and we'll show you around. Fair warning, though. Our ship isn't very fancy. We spent most of our money on engines and science equipment. The transmission ended again. The bridge crew looked at each other. Think, they'll come? Kate asked. Oh, they'll come, Amanda said. They're way too curious about us now. I bet they've never met anyone who wasn't scared of them. Lisa sat back down. Maya, make sure our defensive systems are ready, just in case. Kate, check the coffee machine. Amanda, put together some basic information about Earth and humanity. If we're doing first contact, we might as well do it right. What if they try to attack us? Maya asked. Then we'll deal with that when it happens. But I have a feeling they're more confused than angry right now. Outside the viewports, the massive alien fleet continued to surround the small human ship. But for the first time in thousands of years, the Galactic Triumvirate had no idea what to do next. 2 hours later, a small crystal ship docked with the Terra's Hope. At the same time, a dark ship that seemed to eat light attached itself to the other side. Lisa and her crew waited in the main meeting room, which was really just the cafeteria. With folding chairs arranged in a circle, Amanda had set up a coffee machine on one of the tables. Kate had printed out some basic information about Earth on regular paper. Maya had her hand near her sidearm, just in case, but she was trying to look relaxed. The airlock opened, and Lady Sylviana walked in, followed by 2 other elves. One was clearly a soldier, wearing armor that looked like it was made of moonlight. Her name was Commander Lysandra Starfall. The other elf wore simpler robes and carried what looked like a tablet made of crystal. She introduced herself as Scholar Nerida, Thornvale. The other airlock opened and 3 Zephyrians entered. Diplomat Prime Xylotha looked even stranger in person. Behind her came a creature that was clearly a warrior. He had scars on his blue-gray skin and weapons that hummed with energy. This was war leader Vasquez. The third alien was smaller and carried devices that flickered with lights. She called herself Science Keeper Zelana. Both groups stopped when they saw the cafeteria. Lady Sylviana looked around at the folding chairs and plastic tables. Her perfect eyebrows went up. "This is your throne room?" she asked. "We don't really have a throne room," Lisa said. "This is where we eat meals and have meetings. Please sit down wherever you like." Commander Lysandra examined the folding chairs like they might be weapons. "These seats have no ceremonial significance? No hierarchy of placement?" "Nope," Maya said, sitting down in one of the chairs. "They're just chairs. We got them because They fold up when we don't need them. War Leader Vasquez looked at the coffee machine with suspicion. What is the purpose of this device? Is it some form of food preparation technology? Amanda smiled and poured coffee into several cups. It makes coffee. Would you like to try some? It's one of our favorite drinks. Scholar Nerida pulled out her crystal tablet and started making notes. They offer sustenance to visitors immediately upon arrival. This may be a form of psychological warfare designed to lower our defenses. Kate laughed. It's just coffee. We drink it because it tastes good and helps us wake up in the morning. Science keeper Zilana scanned the coffee with one of her devices. The liquid contains alkaloids that affect brain chemistry. They are attempting to drug us. Well, caffeine is a drug, technically, Amanda admitted, but it's not a bad one. It just makes you more alert. You don't have to drink it if you don't want to. Lady Silviana accepted a cup and smelled it carefully. In our culture, sharing food with strangers is a sign of either great trust or great stupidity. Probably a little of both, Lisa said, sitting down across from her. But that's how we like to start conversations. It's hard to hate someone while you're sharing a meal with them. Diplomat Prime Zalotha remained standing. We have not come here for meals. We have come to understand why you refuse to accept your proper place in the Galactic Order. What's the Galactic Order? Maya asked. The question seemed to surprise everyone except the humans. War Leader Vasquez stepped forward. I am War Leader Vasquez of the Zephyrian Hegemony. I have conquered 17 worlds in personal combat. I have mastered 43 forms of warfare. I have never been defeated in battle. He pulled out a weapon that glowed with blue energy. This is the Void Render. It can cut through any material in the galaxy. Maya looked at the weapon with interest. That's pretty cool. How does it work? Vasquez seemed taken aback by the question. It manipulates quantum fields to disrupt molecular bonds. Neat, Maya said. She pulled out her own sidearm, which looked like a regular pistol. This shoots bullets. They're pieces of metal that go really fast. Science keeper Zilana stared at the primitive weapon. Metal projectiles? Propelled by chemical explosives? Yep. We've had this technology for about 600 years. Still works pretty well. Zilana made rapid notes on her device. They carry ancient weapons as either ceremonial items or as a form of misdirection. Commander Lysandra decided to take a different approach. She moved to the center of the room and began what was clearly a demonstration. Her body flowed through combat forms that were beautiful and deadly. She moved like water and struck like lightning. When she finished, she hadn't even broken a sweat. I am Commander Lysandra Starfall of the Etherean Imperial Guard. I have studied the martial arts for 3 centuries. I can kill an enemy in 17 different ways with my bare hands. Maya clapped. That was amazing. You move like a dancer. We have martial arts too, but nothing that graceful. Again, this wasn't the response Lysandra expected. You are not impressed by our combat prowess? Oh, I'm very impressed, Maya said. It's just that we don't usually settle disagreements with fighting anymore. We tried that for a long time and it didn't work out very well. Scholar Nerida looked up from her notes. You have abandoned the warrior path? How do you determine hierarchy without combat trials? Kate shrugged. We usually just ask people what they're good at and let them do those jobs. I'm the chief engineer because I'm good at fixing things and I like solving mechanical problems. You chose your own position? Science keeper Zilana asked. You were not assigned based on genetic markers or conquest rights? Pretty much. I went to school, learned how engines work, and applied for jobs until someone hired me. This concept seemed to break something in Zilana's understanding of the universe. She started making frantic notes. Lady Silviana tried a different approach. Perhaps you do not understand the scope of our civilization. The Etherean Empire spans 12 star systems. We have brought order and culture to countless worlds. Our art, our music, our poetry are the finest in the galaxy. Amanda perked up. Really? We love art and music. Do you have any examples with you? Narita activated her crystal tablet and beautiful music filled the room. It sounded like wind chimes, and flowing water mixed with voices that could have been angels. That's gorgeous, Amanda said. It reminds me of some of our classical music, but more ethereal. Lady Silviana looked pleased for the first time. You appreciate aesthetic beauty? Absolutely. Art is one of the things that makes life worth living. We'd love to hear more, and maybe share some of our music with you. Diplomat Prime Xylotha had been quiet, but now she spoke. The Zephyrian hegemony controls resources that span 6 star systems. Our technology allows us to reshape matter at the molecular level. Our ships can travel between stars in days rather than years. That's incredible, Kate said. How do you manage faster-than-light travel? We've been working on that problem for decades. Science keeper Zilana looked suspicious. You seek our technological secrets? Not to steal them, Kate explained. Just to understand them. We're engineers and scientists. We like knowing how things work. But why? Zilana asked. What do you gain from this knowledge if not military advantage? Knowledge is useful for its own sake, Amanda said. Understanding how the universe works helps us solve problems and build better things. War leader Vasquez was still holding his weapon. You claim to be peaceful, yet you travel armed through space. Explain this contradiction. Maya looked at her sidearm. This? It's just in case we run into trouble. We're not looking for fights, but space can be dangerous. Asteroids, equipment failures, hostile wildlife on planets. Hostile wildlife? Commander Lysandra asked. Yeah, some planets have animals that think humans look tasty. Plus, there's always the chance we might meet people who want to hurt us. Maya grinned. Though so far, the biggest threat we've encountered is a bunch of folks who want us to surrender to them. The aliens and elves exchanged glances. Nothing about human behavior was making sense according to their understanding of how civilizations worked. Lady Sylviana tried once more. Perhaps you simply do not understand your position. You are one small ship. We have 50 vessels, each capable of destroying your craft. Logic dictates that you should submit to superior force. Lisa took a sip of her coffee. Why would we want to do that? The question hung in the air. Nobody seemed to know how to answer it. Finally, Diplomat Prime Xylotha spoke. Because that is how civilization works. The strong rule the weak. Order is maintained through hierarchy. Resources are distributed according to power. That sounds awful, Amanda said. Why would anyone want to live like that? Scholar Nerida wrote this down as the most disturbing thing she had heard yet. The meeting was not going as planned for the Galactic Triumvirate. After 3 hours of talking, the humans still showed no sign of understanding their proper place in the universe. Diplomat Prime Xylotha decided it was time for a more direct approach. Captain Morgan, it appears words alone cannot make you understand our position. We will demonstrate why resistance is futile. She spoke into a device on her wrist in the Zephyrian language. Lady Sylviana nodded in agreement. Perhaps a display of our combined might will help clarify the situation. She touched a crystal on her robes and spoke in musical Etherian. Maya looked out the nearest viewport. Captain, their ships are moving into formation. Lisa and her crew gathered at the large windows that looked out into space. The alien and elf representatives joined them, clearly expecting to see fear and despair on human faces. The Etherian ships moved first. 12 crystal vessels began what Lady Sylviana called the Dance of Stellar Dominance. The ships moved in perfect harmony, their crystalline hulls catching and reflecting starlight in patterns that were both beautiful and intimidating. As they moved, they left trails of light that formed complex geometric shapes in space. This is gorgeous, Amanda said, watching the light show. It's like a ballet performed by starships. Commander Lysandra looked pleased. The dance has been performed for 3,000 years. It represents the inevitability of Etherian victory and the harmony that comes from accepting our rule. It reminds me of the Blue Angels, Maya said. They're human pilots who do formation flying for air shows. People pay money to watch them because it's so amazing to see. Air shows? Scholar Nerida asked, making notes. You perform military demonstrations for entertainment? Sure, Kate said. When you're really good at something, why not show it? Off? These formations are incredible. The precision required must be amazing. The elves exchanged confused looks. This was not the response they expected. Fear and awe, yes. Artistic appreciation, no. Next came the Zephyrian demonstration. War leader. Vasquez spoke into his communicator, and 20 dark ships moved into position around a large asteroid. Their weapons charged up with energy that made space itself seem to bend and twist. Observe, Vasquez said. Zephyrian plasma weapons can reshape matter at the quantum level. The ships fired simultaneously. Beams of energy that looked like controlled. Lightning struck the asteroid. Instead of simply destroying it, the weapons transformed it. The rock twisted and flowed like liquid, reforming into a perfect sphere that glowed with internal light. Holy cow, Kate breathed. You turned a random chunk of rock into what looks like a miniature star. Science Keeper Zelana's pride was evident. Our weapons do not merely destroy, they remake matter according to our will. That's incredible, Amanda said. The energy control required for that kind of precision must be enormous. How do you keep the plasma stable across such distances? Zelana looked suspicious again. Why do you wish to know our weapon specifications? Because it's fascinating, Amanda replied. We're scientists. When we see something amazing, we want to understand how it works. But surely you understand the threat we represent, War Leader Vasquez said. We have just demonstrated that we can destroy or transform any matter we choose. Maya nodded enthusiastically. Oh, absolutely. That's way beyond anything we can do. Your technology is clearly far more advanced than ours. Then you will surrender? Diplomat Prime Xylotha asked. Hopefully. Why would we do that? Lisa asked. The question seemed to stun the aliens into silence. Finally, Lady Sylviana spoke. Because we have superior force. Because resistance would be futile. Because that is how these situations proceed. Says who? Maya asked. Commander. Lysandra stepped forward. Says the natural order of the universe. The strong rule the weak. This is how civilization has always functioned. Kate scratched her head. That seems like a really inefficient way to organize things. Why would you want to rule people who don't want to be ruled? That sounds like a lot of work, and everyone would be unhappy. Happiness is irrelevant, War Leader Vasquez declared. Order is what matters. Order without happiness is just a prettier form of misery, Amanda said. We tried that approach for thousands of years. Kings and emperors and dictators. It never worked out very well in the long run. Scholar Nerida looked up from her frantic note-taking. You have experimented with proper hierarchical structures and abandoned them? Pretty much, Lisa said. We figured out that people work better when they want to do their jobs instead of being forced to do them. Science Keeper Zelana was scanning the human ship with her devices. Captain Morgan, we must ask you to demonstrate your own military capabilities. We cannot understand your confidence without seeing your weapons. Lisa looked at her crew. Do we have military capabilities? Maya shrugged. We have some defensive systems and emergency weapons, nothing fancy. Show us, Vasquez demanded. Maya looked uncomfortable. Captain, our weapons aren't really designed for demonstrations. They're pretty basic. It's okay, Lisa said. If they want to see what we have, we might as well show them. Maya went to the weapons console and activated the Terra's Hope's defense systems. Outside, small panels opened on the ship's hull and simple kinetic weapons emerged. They looked like metal tubes. Those are your weapons? Commander Lysandra asked. Yep, Maya said. Kinetic projectiles. Basically, we throw chunks of metal really fast. She targeted a piece of space debris and fired. A metal slug shot out of the weapon and hit the debris, destroying it through simple impact. The alien and elf representatives stared in shock. That's it? War Leader Vasquez asked. Metal. Projectiles propelled by chemical reactions? Pretty much, Maya confirmed. We've got different types of ammunition for different situations, but the basic principle is the same. Hit things with metal moving really fast. Science Keeper Zelana was making rapid calculations on her device. The engineering requirements for effective kinetic weapons at interstellar ranges would require incredible precision and velocity control. Yeah, it's tricky, Kate admitted. We had to solve a lot of math problems to make them work reliably. But why use such primitive technology when advanced energy weapons exist? Zelana asked. Because rocks work, Maya said simply. If you throw a rock hard enough and fast enough, it'll break pretty much anything. Plus, kinetic weapons are reliable. No complex energy matrices to fail, no exotic particles to contain, just physics. Diplomat Prime Xylotha looked like her brain was breaking. You deliberately choose primitive technology over advanced systems? We choose technology that works. For our needs, Amanda explained. Sometimes simple is better. Lady Sylviana was staring at the humans like they were aliens. But you must understand that our weapons are far superior to yours. Oh, absolutely, Lisa agreed. Your plasma weapons and energy manipulation are way beyond what we can do. They're also way more complicated. What happens if they break down? Commander Lysandra looked confused. They do not break down. They are perfect. Nothing's perfect, Kate said. Everything breaks eventually. When your quantum field manipulator has a bad day, can you fix it with spare parts and a wrench? Spare parts? Science Keeper Zalana asked. Replacement components, backup systems, stuff to fix things when they stop working. The concept seemed foreign to them. Scholar Nerida was writing furiously. War Leader Vasquez was still staring at the simple kinetic weapons. You are telling us that your civilization deliberately chooses inferior technology because it is more reliable? Not inferior, Maya corrected. Different. A rock thrown hard enough will solve most problems. And when something goes wrong with a kinetic weapon, we can usually figure out what broke and fix it. But the sophistication of our technology demonstrates our superiority, Lady Sylviana insisted. Does it? Amanda asked. Or does it demonstrate that you've made things more complicated than they need to be? This question seemed to hit the aliens and elves like a physical blow. The idea that technological complexity might not equal technological superiority was something they had never considered. Diplomat Prime Xylotha made one last attempt. Your weapons are primitive. Your ship is small. Your crew is tiny. Logic demands that you acknowledge our superiority and submit to our authority. Lisa looked around at her crew, then back at the assembled representatives of galactic civilization. Why? She asked. Because we are stronger, Vasquez said. So? Because we have more ships, Sylviana added. And? Because that is how things work. Xylotha finished. Says who? The silence that followed was deafening. For the first time in thousands of years, representatives of the Galactic Triumvirate had no answer to give. The silence stretched on for nearly a minute. The representatives of the Galactic Triumvirate looked at each other, then at the humans, then back at each other. Nobody seemed to know what to say. Finally, Scholar Nerida broke the silence. Captain Morgan, we must understand your social structure. How do you determine leadership without combat trials or hereditary succession? Lisa sat back down in her folding chair. We vote. Vote, Lady Sylviana asked. People choose who they want to lead them. We have elections where everyone gets to pick their preferred candidates. War Leader Vasquez looked confused. The weak choose who rules them? Everyone chooses, Amanda corrected. Strong, weak, smart, not so smart. Every adult gets one vote. But surely the superior individuals guide these choices, Commander Lysandra said. The educated elite must direct the masses. Maya laughed. Nope. Everyone decides for themselves. Sometimes they make good choices, sometimes they make bad ones. But they're free to choose. Science Keeper Zalana was frantically scanning the humans with her devices. This system must create chaos. Without proper hierarchy, how do you maintain order? We have laws that everyone agrees to follow, Kate explained. If someone breaks the laws, we have courts to decide what happens to them. Courts? Diplomat? Prime Xylotha asked. Groups of people who listen to evidence and decide if someone is guilty of breaking the law. They're supposed to be fair and impartial. Supposed to be? Scholar Nerida noted the phrase carefully. Well, humans aren't perfect, Amanda admitted. Our systems don't always work the way they're supposed to, but we keep trying to make them better. This concept seemed to horrify the aliens and elves more than anything else they had heard. Lady Sylviana stood up abruptly. You admit your systems are flawed, and yet you continue to use them? Of course, Lisa said. Perfect systems don't exist. We do the best we can and try to improve. But improvement suggests that current methods are inadequate, Science Keeper Zalana said. Why not simply implement superior methods from the beginning? Kate looked at her like she had asked why water was wet. Because we don't know what the superior methods are until we try different things and see what works. You experiment with civilization itself? Commander Lysandra asked in horror. How else do you figure out better ways to do things? Maya replied. War Leader. Vasquez was pacing now. This is madness. Civilization requires stability, order, clear hierarchies that do not change. Why? Amanda asked. Because change leads to chaos. Does it? We've been changing our government and laws for hundreds of years. We're doing better now than we were before. Diplomat Prime Xylotha sat down heavily in one of the folding chairs. Let me understand this correctly. You freely admit that your systems are imperfect. You allow the least qualified individuals to make decisions that affect your entire civilization. You deliberately change your methods of governance based on experimental results. That's about right, Lisa confirmed. And yet you are confident, enough to refuse our offer of proper rule. We're not confident, Maya said. We just don't want to be ruled by someone else. But why not? Scholar Nerida asked desperately. We have thousands of years of experience in governance. Our methods are proven. Our systems are stable. And are your people happy? Amanda asked. The question caught them off guard. Lady Sylviana and Diplomat Prime Xylotha looked at each other. Happiness is not the purpose of civilization, Lady Sylviana said finally. What is the purpose, then? Lisa asked. Order, stability, the proper functioning of society. That sounds really boring, Kate said. What's the point of having a stable society if the people in it aren't happy? Science Keeper Zelana made a sound that might have been frustration. Happiness is a temporary emotional state. It is not a foundation for civilization. Why not? Maya asked. Happy people work harder, create more, and cause fewer problems. Seems like a pretty good foundation to me. Commander Lysandra had been quiet, but now she spoke. You speak of happiness as if it were achievable for entire populations. Not all the time, Amanda admitted, but we try to build systems that give people the best chance at happiness. Freedom to choose their own lives, opportunities to learn and grow, safety from harm. And if they choose poorly? War Leader Vasquez asked. Then they deal with the consequences, Lisa said. That's part of being free. This seemed to break something fundamental in the aliens' understanding. Xylotha was staring at her hands. Vasquez had stopped pacing and was standing perfectly still. Even Lady Sylviana looked shaken. Scholar Nerida looked up from her notes. Captain Morgan, what is your ultimate goal? What does humanity want to achieve? Lisa thought about it for a moment. We want to explore the universe, learn new things, and be happy. We want to make friends with other people and see what amazing things are out there. But what about expansion? Territory? Resources? Diplomat Prime Xylotha asked. We'll need some of those things as we grow, Amanda said. But mainly, we just want to see what's out there and understand how it all works. You explore for the sake of exploration? Science Keeper Zelana asked. Pretty much. The universe is huge and full of incredible things. Why wouldn't we want to see them? War Leader Vasquez looked like someone had just told him that gravity worked sideways. But exploration should serve conquest. Knowledge should provide military advantage. Knowledge is useful for its own sake, Kate said. Understanding how things work helps us build better lives for everyone. Better how? Commander Lysandra asked. Safer, more comfortable, more interesting. We want to cure diseases, explore new worlds, create beautiful art, solve puzzles. Lady Sylviana was shaking her head slowly. You have no desire for dominion? No hunger for power over others? Why would we want that? Maya asked. Power over other people sounds like a terrible responsibility. You'd have to make decisions for them, worry about their problems, deal with their complaints. Who wants that kind of stress? Leaders want power, Xylotha said, but she sounded uncertain. Some do, Lisa admitted, and usually they're the worst. People to have it. The best leaders are the ones who don't really want the job, but do it because someone has to. Scholar Nerida looked up from her tablet. You said earlier that you vote for your leaders. What happens if no one wants to lead? Then we try to convince good people to run for office, Amanda explained. We tell them that their community needs them, and that they can make things better. And they agree to this burden out of civic duty? Lady Sylviana asked. Some do. Others do it because they want to fix specific problems. A few do it because they enjoy the challenge. But surely your leaders accumulate power and wealth from their positions, War Leader Vasquez said. Actually, public service usually costs them money and time they could spend on other things, Maya said. The alien and elf representatives were looking at the humans like they were speaking an unknown language. Diplomat Prime Xylotha stood up slowly. Let me see if I understand. You have created a civilization where leadership is a burden rather than a privilege, where people choose their own rulers, where systems are deliberately kept imperfect to allow for improvement, where the goal is not expansion or dominion, but exploration and happiness. That's a pretty good summary, Lisa said. And you believe this is superior to our methods? We believe it works for us. Whether it's superior is a matter of opinion. Science Keeper Zalana looked at her devices, then at the humans, then back at her devices. This should not be possible. Every model of civilization we have studied shows that stability requires hierarchy, that progress requires competition, that order requires dominance. Maybe your models are wrong, Kate suggested gently. The words hung in the air like a physical presence. For the first time in their long lives, the representatives of the Galactic Triumvirate were forced to consider that everything they believed about civilization might be incorrect, and the humans just sat there drinking coffee, completely unaware that they had just broken the philosophical foundation of galactic society. The meeting had been going on for 6 hours. The representatives of the Galactic Triumvirate looked exhausted, confused, and slightly defeated. The humans, on the other hand, seemed energized by the conversation. Diplomat Prime Xylotha made one final attempt to restore order to her universe. Captain Morgan, regardless of your philosophical objections, you must understand the practical reality. The Triumvirate controls this region of space. You cannot simply ignore our authority. Why not? Lisa asked, refilling her coffee cup. Because we will not allow it. How are you going to stop us? The question hung in the air. War Leader Vasquez reached for his weapon, then stopped. Commander Lysandra started to stand, then sat back down. Lady Sylviana opened her mouth, then closed it without speaking. You would destroy our ship for refusing to surrender? Amanda asked. If necessary, Xylotha said. But she didn't sound certain anymore. And then what? You'd have killed a ship full of explorers who just wanted to see what was out there and maybe make some friends. Science Keeper Zalana was staring at her scanner readings. Captain, our instruments show that you have no weapons of mass destruction, no fleet backup, no territorial claims. Your ship appears to be exactly what you claim it is, an exploration vessel. That's right, Maya confirmed. Then what is your plan? Lady Sylviana asked desperately. How do you expect to survive in a galaxy ruled by empires without military strength or political alliances? Kate shrugged. The same way we always have, by being reasonable and hoping other people will be reasonable too. And if they are not reasonable? War Leader Vasquez asked. Then we'll deal with that problem when we come to it, Lisa said. But so far talking has worked pretty well. Scholar Nerida looked up from her tablet. What if we cannot reach an agreement? What if the Triumvirate demands your submission and you continue to refuse? Then I guess we'll have to agree to disagree, Amanda said. You can go back to ruling your part of the galaxy, and we'll continue exploring. But that creates an impossible situation, Commander Lysandra protested. We cannot have uncontrolled elements operating in our territory. Why not? Maya asked. Because it undermines our authority. Only if you think authority requires everyone to obey you. Diplomat Prime Xylotha was rubbing her temples with 4 of her 6 hands. You are suggesting that we simply ignore your presence and pretend you do not exist. We're suggesting that you let us go about our business while you go about yours. Lisa clarified. If we need something from you, we'll ask. If you need something from us, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we'll stay out of each other's way. This is not how galactic politics work, Lady Sylviana said firmly. Maybe galactic politics should work differently, Kate suggested. The words hit the alien and elf representatives like a physical blow. Science Keeper Zalana dropped her scanner. Scholar Nerida stopped writing. War Leader Vasquez sat down heavily. You are suggesting that we change our entire system of governance because you do not like it? Xylotha asked. We're not suggesting anything, Amanda said. We're just telling you how we do things. What you do with that information is up to you. Lady Sylviana stood up and began pacing. This is impossible. The Etherean Empire has maintained order for 3,000 years. Our methods are proven. Our systems are stable. And are your people happy? Maya asked again. Our people are civilized, Silviana replied. That's not the same thing. Commander Lysandra was staring out the viewport at the combined fleet. What would happen if we simply let you go? If we told our fleets to allow human ships safe passage? Nothing bad, Lisa said. We'd continue exploring, learning about the galaxy, meeting new people. Maybe we'd discover something interesting that we could share with you. But other species would see this as weakness, War Leader Vasquez protested. If we do not enforce our authority over you, others might challenge us as well. Would that be such a bad thing? Amanda asked gently. The question seemed to stun Vasquez into silence. Scholar Nerida finally spoke. Captain Morgan, may I ask you something directly? Sure. Do you truly believe that your way of organizing civilization is better than ours? Lisa thought about it carefully. I believe it's better for us. Whether it would be better for you, I don't know. That's something you'd have to figure out for yourselves. But you must have some opinion, Science Keeper Zalana pressed. You must believe that freedom is superior to order. I believe that freedom without order is chaos, and order without freedom is tyranny, Lisa said. The trick is finding the right balance. And you think we have too much order and not enough freedom, Lady Silviana said. I think that's for your people to decide, not for me. Diplomat Prime Xylotha was quiet for a long time. When she finally spoke, her voice was different, softer. What if some of our people wanted to try your methods? What if they asked for guidance in creating more freedom in their lives? Then we'd be happy to share what we've learned, Amanda said. But they'd have to adapt it to their own circumstances. What works for humans might not work for elves or Zephyrians. You would help them rebel against our authority? Commander Lysandra asked. We'd help them find their own path, Kate corrected. That might include rebelling against authority, or it might include working within existing systems. To create change, War Leader Vasquez was holding his head in his hands. This conversation has given me a headache that will last for years. Sorry about that, Maya said sympathetically. Sometimes thinking about big ideas is painful. What happens now? Scholar, Nerida asked. How do we proceed from here? Lisa looked around at her crew, then at the assembled representatives. Well, we'd like to continue our mission. We have several star systems we want to explore. You're welcome to come along if you're interested, or you can go back to your fleets and figure out what to do with what we've talked about. You would welcome us as companions? Lady Silviana asked in surprise. Sure. You seem like interesting people, and we'd enjoy learning more about your cultures. Science Keeper Zilana picked up her scanner and stared at it. Our instruments cannot detect any deception in your statements. You genuinely mean what you say. Why would we lie? Amanda asked. To gain some advantage. To manipulate us into lowering our defenses. What advantage would we gain? You've got bigger ships, better weapons, and more experience. If we wanted to fight you, lying wouldn't help us very much. Diplomat Prime Xylotha stood up slowly. I need to return to my ship and think about this conversation. Of course, Lisa said. Take all the time you need. What should I tell my superiors about humanity's response to our demands? Tell them the truth. We're not interested in surrendering, but we're very interested in being friends. Lady Silviana gathered her robes around her. This has been the most disturbing diplomatic encounter in Etherian history. Sorry, Maya offered. Do not apologize. Disturbing does not mean bad. It simply means that we must reconsider things we thought we understood. As the alien and elf representatives prepared to leave, Scholar Nerida approached Captain Morgan. Captain, may I ask one final question? Of course. Are you not afraid of us at all? Lisa considered the question seriously. I'm concerned that we might not be able to understand each other. I'm worried that we might accidentally offend you or do something that causes problems. But afraid? No, not really. Why not? We could destroy your ship without effort. Because destroying us wouldn't gain you anything, and it would cost you the chance to learn something new. Scholar Nerida made one final note on her tablet. Captain Morgan, I believe your species may be the most dangerous thing the galaxy has ever encountered. Dangerous how? You make people want to think. After the representatives left, the human Crew sat in their cafeteria for a while, drinking coffee and processing what had just happened. "Think they'll attack us?" Maya asked. "No," Amanda said confidently. "They're too confused to attack anyone right now." "What do you think they'll do?" Lisa looked out at the alien fleet, which was maintaining its position but no longer seemed threatening. "I think they're going to have a lot of very difficult conversations with their people. And then? Then we'll see if the galaxy is ready for something new." Kate laughed. "We came out here looking for aliens and ended up accidentally starting a philosophical revolution." "Could be worse," Maya pointed out. "We could have started a war." "Oh, I think we did start a war," Amanda said quietly. "Just not the kind that's fought with weapons." Outside the viewport, the ships of the Galactic Triumvirate began to move. But instead of forming attack formations, they were spreading out, moving away from each other. Several smaller ships had broken away from the main fleet entirely. "Captain," Maya said, pointing out the window, "I think their fleet is falling apart." Lisa smiled. "Maybe falling apart, or maybe falling together, in a new way." In the distance, one of the crystal elven ships was broadcasting music across all frequencies. It was the same beautiful melody they had heard earlier, but now it was mixed with something else, something that sounded almost like hope. The Terras. Hope adjusted course and continued on its mission of exploration, followed by a growing convoy of ships whose crews had decided that seeing what was out there sounded more interesting than maintaining an empire. Humanity had met the Galactic Empire and laughed. And in laughing, they had shown the galaxy that there were better things to do than rule others, like making friends, learning new things, and finding out what amazing wonders the universe had to offer. The revolution had begun, and it was armed, with nothing more dangerous than coffee, folding chairs, and the radical idea that people should be free to choose their own lives.